Dr. King first notes their claim that he is an outsider who has come to Birmingham to cause trouble, which is not true. He defends his right to be there in a straightforward, unemotional tone, explaining that the Southern Christian Leadership Conference is based in Atlanta but operates through the South. One of its affiliates had invited the organization to Birmingham, which is why they came. However, he then provides a more reason for his presence, saying that he came to Birmingham to battle injustice. Because he believes that all communities and states are interrelated, he feels compelled to work for justice anywhere that injustice is being practiced. Dr. King believed the clergymen have erred in criticizing the protesters without equally exploring the racist causes of the injustice that is being protested. This is most notably seen during the time of segregation. This allowed for people to show how the federal government that the people are meant to be together, to play, to live and work as one. Not many. Over the course of history, the northern United States seemed to recognize this after segregation was eliminated from the country, although there were still places which had people that had to deal with the racial slurs and other derogatory things.
It all began on Good Friday, when King and several other organizers decided to get arrested. King slid into a period of depression and panic while in the isolation cell. After seeing the newspaper where 8 white ministers criticized he and his mission, he began to suddenly gain motivation. 2 days after King was released from jail, he gave a modified speech about the letter at a church. It documented how frustrated he was by white moderates who kept telling blacks this was not the right time. Many leaders agreed to use young people in their demonstrations. They needed large numbers to fill the jails and force white Birmingham to listen. Typically, cell blocks held 600 people. A ton of black students, meaning 1,500 and above, were shoved in these cells. One black student, 18 at the time, recalls hearing King preach that America cannot call itself an exceptional nation until racial injustice is addressed and segregation ended.
African Americans now constitute nearly 1 million of the total 2.3 million incarcerated population in prisons. African Americans are incarcerated at nearly 6 times the rate of whites. Together, African American and Hispanics comprise 58% of all prisoners in 2008, even though African Americans and Hispanics make up approximately 1/4 of the U.S. population. According to Unlocking America, if African American and Hispanics were incarcerated at the same rate of whites, today's prison and jail populations would decline by approximately 50%. The Civil Rights Movement was a struggle by African Americans in the mid-1950s to late 1960s to achieve civil rights equal to those of whites, including equal opportunity in employment, housing, and education, as well as the right to vote, the right of equal access to public facilities, and the right to free racial discrimination. When the blacks started protesting for their rights, it was made known that they wouldn't back down anymore for racial discrimination. It made white people very upset and angry. White people would try to get blacks in trouble and thrown into jail for any wrong thing that they could do. White people never thought that black people would stand up for themselves. So white people were scared of that, and they wanted to go out of their way to make their lives even more miserable than what they had been before the movement. I don't think racism within America is gone. It has gotten much better since the Civil Rights era. However, black people are judged and still thought about being below or not as good of a person as a white person.
Fellow clergymen, while confined here in the Birmingham City Jail, I came across your recent statement calling my present activities unwise and untimely. Seldom do I pause to answer criticism of my work and ideas. If I sought to answer all the criticisms that cross my desk, my secretaries would have little time for anything other than such correspondence in the course of the day, and I would have no time for constructive work. But since I feel that you are men of genuine goodwill, and that your criticisms are sincerely set forth, I want to try to answer your statement in what I hope will be patient and reasonable terms. I think I should indicate why I am here in Birmingham. since you have been influenced by the view which argues against outsiders coming in. I have the honor of serving as president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, an organization operating in every southern state with headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. We have some 85 affiliated organizations across the South, and one of them is the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights. But more basically, I'm in Birmingham because injustice is here. Just as the prophets of the 8th century B.C. left their villages and carried their "Thus saith the Lord" far beyond the boundaries of their hometowns, and just as the Apostle Paul left his village of Tarsus and carried the gospel of Jesus Christ to the far corners of the Greco-Roman world, so am I compelled to carry the gospel of freedom beyond my own hometown. Like Paul, I must constantly respond to the Macedonian call for aid. Moreover, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. You deplore the demonstrations taking place in Birmingham, but your statement, I am sorry to say, fails to express a similar concern for the conditions that brought about the demonstrations. I am sure that none of you would want to rest content with a superficial kind of social analysis that deals merely with effects and does not grapple with underlying causes. It is unfortunate that demonstrations are taking place in Birmingham, but it is even more unfortunate that the city's white power structure left the Negro community with no alternative.